Szymon Abramski was a scholar of great repute. Fluent in many languages, he was also a bibliophile and amassed over the years one of the most astonishing libraries on the left and probably on the right as well. A library of 20,000 books, which he had been amassing for many decades, and which included first editions in German of Das Kapital, Engels's first work dedicated in Engels's handwriting to a friend, and numerous magazines and journals of the period. It was truly an amazing collection. Szymon was also for a long period of his life a Marxist, a member of the British Communist Party, after his family, not very radical, fled from the pogroms of Russia and Eastern Europe and made their way as refugees to this country and settled in the East End. Szymon died in 2010. A few years previously, we made this documentary on his library and his life, looking at the books and discussing them with him in great detail. Szymon Abramski was born in 1916 in Minsk in Belarus. In 1932, with Stalin firmly in control of the Soviet Union, Szymon fled to the West. He became a leading Marxist scholar and later professor of Jewish history at the University of London. He owns what is probably the finest private collection of radical books and literature. I talked to him over several months about his life, his library, and the left.
Maybe I exaggerated, but I became fascinated especially by the political writings of Marx. His sharpness of style, writing in English, in German, in French, brilliant, absolutely brilliant in all the three languages, captured my imagination. Membership card of the General Council of the First International.
Good God. This is probably the first, it is the first attempt to organize socialists internationally.
From all over Europe.
Signed Shaw for the United States, Eugene Dupont for France, Karl Marx for Germany. Even though he was in Britain, he was still signing for Germany. I'm amazed the ink hasn't faded, actually. It shows that, they made very high quality ink in those days.
Now I come to my jewel in the crown, is the Paris Commune. So I've got a collection of 26 volumes, bound uniformly different sizes, with nearly 3,000 posters in color, in black and white.
The political barometer. Incredible. Oh, look at this. This is obviously the Kaiser. Bismarck is taking the Republic's flag to the Kaiser, who is bathing in blood, having crushed the French. So this was when they were right on top. And it says, to Versailles, the Commune or death. Unfortunately, it was death for most of them. But
And in August 39, when I came from Jerusalem, 2 weeks later, the World War II broke out on 1st of September 1939. I realized I can't go back to Palestine. So my cousin said to me she will try to get me a job. She was very friendly with Miriam, my late wife. And Miriam ran the family business of a bookshop. So she gave me a job And 5 months later or 6 months later, I married the boss. This is the first articles of Marx. Anecdote, 1843. 1843, 2 volumes complete. In the original wrappers. My heretical ideas on Marx is much more important in political comments than as an economist of lasting value. This is what keeps me fascinated by Marx. His interpretation of history, might agree with it or not, is brilliant, and it has still force in some elements. One has to see it in many ways. But then on the economic front, I have to agree with John Maynard Keynes that from the point of view of learning lessons applying to the present day, it's dated and it cannot change society in that sense. But a great compliment to Marx can be seen that he realized before the word globalization came into being that the capitalist system is becoming bigger and bigger and not attached to single individuals. It becomes a massive force of globalization. This point he even noticed already in the Communist Manifesto. Now I've got what I want to show you. The Manifesto of the Communists by Karl Marx, forward by Engels, International Publishing Company, 1886, the first anarchist edition in England. They cut out the whole passage of the Communist Manifesto.
You mean the anarchist publication of the Communist Manifesto?
A series of measures are proposed which are not applicable at the present time, as more radical measures are necessary.
Translator's note.
I think it's lovely. When I got it, I had a good laugh.
You also had the William Morris.
I'll describe the William Morris collection.
That is amazing. It's designed by Morris, this edition.
Yes.
Oh my God.
This is a letter designed by him.
And he designed the typescript, didn't he?
The type was designed by him. My proudest possession, apart from manuscript by Morris, is Morris' personal copy of the journally edited Commonweal, from number 1 to the last. The box has got an amusing special box made by William Morris with the lining and the lock called Holy Bible 1539. There is no Holy Bible there. It's the personal copy of William Morris's Commonweal. He's a multi-talented man in many things, like in typography, wallpaper designs, furniture designs, exceptional, unique, unique.
Isn't that incredible? That is just truly amazing.
And this is the personal copy of William Morris in a box that he designed for Holy Bible 1539, and then he put in his own copy of the Commonweal.
Gordon and the Sudan. This is a classic text by, I think, William Morris,
Yes.
if I remember, actually saying what a tremendous thing it is, the victory of the Mahdi in Sudan.
Yes. One thing is clear to me,
He never-
Edward didn't agree with me, that he was never a revolutionary socialist.
I think you're right.
I think he was a very great writer, and his heart was in the right place. But to describe him as a revolutionary socialist,
I agree with you, Shimon. I mean, you're absolutely right. My God. Price 1/2 penny. The 5 radical points: universal suffrage, annual parliaments, vote by ballot, no property qualification.
no demand for women.
No, that came a bit later. But annual parliaments,
Yes.
very good demand. You see, they were all still pre-socialist, because equality, liberty, fraternity, rather than workers of the world
This
unite.
is Charter Circular complete. A few intellectuals came much later, when the Chartist movement was already very widespread. And it's interesting, the Chartist movement demanded that members of parliament should receive a regular pay. Whether you were a Whig, they demanded annual parliaments, which of course was impractical, but that members of parliament should get a fee a salary. This was one of the months of the Chartist movement. And when Marx came over as a refugee, his main contacts at that time were with the Chartists. He began to write for some of their papers.
This is a letter written by imprisoned Chartists,
Yes.
Lovett and Collins, complaining about conditions in prison.
They are all extremely...
That we be allowed to retire to our cells during the daytime for the purpose of reading or writing, and that we be not locked up in them for 15 or 16 hours without fire or candlelight. Really?
1889.
Good God. Grief. Dock labour strike, over 100,000 men out.
Entirely on the work and labor movement.
Yeah.
Before the Labour Party.
Before the Labour Party.
Yes. Labour Party is 1900.
And at the same time, it's got a cricket prophecy. But, you know, so we have Mr. Gladstone threatened, Bakers unite, the sailors strike, the strike mismanaged, and cricket prophecies, which is an attack on Jardine. Actually a good attack. He's one of the more reactionary cricket captains to lead England.
Another section of my collection is the Russian revolutionary movement in all its tendencies, only up to 1917, because once the Bolsheviks got power, they printed the millions of copies. I stopped buying them. So I only got Lenin up to 1917, but very rare pamphlets and very rare editions. 1899, this is Lenin. Vladimir Ilyich I, Economic Studies, first edition, St. Petersburg, 1899. Uncut.
This is a British Foreign Office publication on the Russian Revolution. Extract from Trotsky's book, Terrorism and Communism. Is this
in 1921? What? That study is far more important than Trotsky.
Well, I'm afraid they were proved right on that.
It is exceptional, from the Foreign Office. There was a very nice bookseller from Austria called Shushitsky. He and his brother ran a bookshop called Libris in Boundary Road in Swiss Cottage. And whenever he got something of Marx or Engels, he used to get in touch with me, very nice man. And he has important things of Marx, but his conditions are crazy. Would you like to have a look at them? So I said I would love to see them. So I came, he had a room like this with a big bed, and on the bed there were over 200 books. Then there were these and a few other books of Marx, and I said, I'm interested in 16 books. He said, you either buy the lot or nothing. So I said to him, I have to consult my wife whether I can buy the lot. I don't need the books, I need only 16 books here. Well, I went home, discussed it with Miriam. Miriam said, you're mad, he is mad, buy the book. Was a Luxembourg, unpublished letter.
Good grief. Let me have a
Yes,
look at
also
that. Let me hold that. Let me hold that.
I maintain to myself at least that however Marx is unpopular today, he might still come back with great force. In America, in the academic world, there is a lot of interest in Marx, much more than in Europe. But in Europe too, there is a revival of interest in the ideas of Marx. So from my point of view, is though many people are not treating him seriously enough, he will come back.